just say. No. No. Okay. All right. Ready? 3, 2, 1. What's up, friends and foes? Welcome to Let's Get Nerdy. My name is Corey.
And I'm Wyatt.
And today we are continuing our journey, I guess, the hype train that is barreling towards James Gunn's Superman. We're less than a week away, and we are covering every theatrically released Superman movie along the way. And today we are getting to the 2006 sequel reboot, whatever it is, Superman Returns.
Yes. The sequel reboot.
Yes.
And failure?
No. Well, let's talk about the movie. Why?
Question mark.
Superman Returns. It did premiere June 21st in Los Angeles, June 28th for the rest of the United States, 2006 for both of those dates. What do you remember about the summer of 2006, Wyatt?
Not a lot, really.
No.
Not a lot of good stuff, anyway.
Oh.
I do remember going to see this, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was going to ask you. I didn't see this.
Yeah, I remember going to see it. I remember, I think the following summer, getting like a Superman action figure, and he had like a blast effect or whatever, like that you could put on his fist, and it was like he was flying in from the atmosphere or whatever. That was pretty cool.
That's cool. That never happens in this movie, but that's cool.
Yeah, it never is in the movie, but that's okay. But yeah, all right, so I guess to give a brief history of mine with it, I do remember going to see it. I don't remember liking it very much at all, even as a little kid. So
I would say this is not even content-wise, just overall like pace and like what happened. This is the least kid-friendly Superman.
yeah,
Because just not shit happens.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, other than, I guess, like, the shuttle scene, there's really nothing that I feel like as a kid you, like, glob onto. You're never like, that's motherfucking Superman.
Yeah.
So, with that, and I guess a similar history, I didn't see it in theaters. This is actually the James Gunn Superman. I guess if we're not counting, like, Superman versus Batman, this will be my first Superman movie that I've seen in the theaters.
You didn't see Man of Steel in theaters?
I did not see Man of Steel in theaters.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't have a good reason. But yeah, I just did not see Man of Steel in theaters.
Interesting. Well, that's exciting.
I'm very excited. So with this movie though, talking about the movie at hand, after about a decade of attempts to relaunch the series, including an abandoned Superman Lives, written by Kevin Smith, directed by Tim Burton, starring Nick Cage, which I think there's a whole documentary on that one.
I think so.
And then there was another project that was known as Superman Flyby. It was a project set to be directed by his name is directed by MCG is all he's identified as.
All right.
You would know him as the director for Terminator Salvation.
Oh, okay.
So.
Okay, I actually like that movie.
It's not a bad one. I think people have called that the worst Terminator. I don't think it's the worst Terminator.
It's not. Not anymore.
Not anymore. What would you say is?
Maybe Genesis.
I was thinking Genesis.
Yeah.
And I will say this: Arnold Schwarzenegger called Salvation the worst
Because he's not in it.
because it's the one he's not in,
Yeah.
so that makes sense.
I mean, he's CG'd in it.
Yeah. But let's see. Where was I? Oh yeah. And it was supposed to be MCG was supposed to be written by J.J. Abrams. Which that one. So, fun fact for that one, there's often a rumor that like Henry Cavill auditioned for Superman Returns, but that is incorrect. He auditioned for Superman Flyby, but because like Superman Flyby was like starting to be put together in like 2004 and like 2003 and fell apart in time for this because when the project had fallen apart for Superman Flyby, WB approached Bryan Singer, who received the storyline of Superman, who conceived the storyline of Superman returning to Earth after a 5-year absence during the filming of X2. He presented the idea to the X-Men and the X2 producer, Laura Schuler Donner, which, do you know who her husband is?
Richard Donner.
Richard Donner, the director of Superman, 1978. Donner greeted Singer's idea with positive feedback. So,
Hmm.
so
Okay.
then that's when, yeah, WB, which I want to preface this. Um, how I say this. Bryan Singer and Kevin Spacey have pretty much been accused and confirmed of doing some pretty heinous, awful fucking things. Uh, so anything nice said about them in this movie is purely on the product in front of us, not as people. Fuck those guys.
Yeah.
And honestly, they're probably not going to get a lot of compliments anyway.
No,
I
not
guess
really.
I don't know if I finished my history with this movie.
I don't think so.
Yeah, we I watched it on DVD, um, and like it was one of those movies that like for some reason like I think like my parents really liked it at the time
Hmm.
because they ended up watching it like 3 or 4 times, and
Oh
I
my
was
god.
like pretty close to session. There's like 2 movies they did this with at that time, um, and there's no way you'll guess the other one. But like they really, but like by the third time, I was like as a like I guess 9, 10 year old kid, I was like, I fucking hate this movie. Stop playing it. It sucks.
Yes.
It is not a great movie. And I guess to start giving initial thoughts, years later, I kind of was like, oh, maybe revisiting it and with the lens of like the Christopher Reeves Superman movies, there will be like a little bit better. Um, but I was wrong. Uh, so I guess we'll start breaking down the plot and give our thoughts along the way. So Superman Returns opens with narration from a now deceased Marlon Brando as the red sun engulfs Krypton. Before we get a recreation of the classic opening credits from the very first Superman the movie, but with just a bit more constellations and planets throughout. Despite your past, I know you're a good man. We open to Lex Luthor sitting bedside of a dying woman, professing her love and gratitude to Lex before signing her estate over to the protests of her entire family. The door opens. Lex baby walks through, ditches his wig, and walks out of the house. You can keep it. Everything else is mine. In reference to the wig, I will say this again. He's a piece of shit. Fuck Kevin Spacey. I think he's the best part of this movie.
He does a really good job as Lex.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, so now we are back in Smallville. Martha Kent is doing the dishes until her house begins to shake and something falls from the sky, crashing down in the field outside of the Kent's farmhouse. Clark has returned, fainting in the arms of his mother. Um, I guess what did you think about any of this so far?
Okay, well, I guess to talk about Lex, first of all, yes, fuck Kevin Spacey. Secondly, um, I think he looks a lot like the Lex of the older movies. He feels like Lex of the older movies. He just feels more jaded and not quite as like goofy and shit.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. I kind of like the goofier Lex from the older movies, but I still like his portrayal. He does a good job. Um,
I think it's a good balance, and not to cut you off entirely. Like, I think it's a good balance between like a more modern take, but kind of still keeping the old swagger
yeah,
that Gene
yeah,
Hackman had.
yeah. It feels like this Lex is more jaded because he's been in prison. He's had time to kind of grow angrier as time has passed,
Yeah,
and I think that makes more sense and serves well for the story. But um, it wasn't didn't Martha pass away in the third or fourth movie?
yeah. So this one, so that's where it gets confusing. This one really is only a sequel to 1 and 2,
Oh,
and it because it's like specifically only a continuation of the Donner Superman is the idea,
oh,
and even then, it's kind of a bad one.
yeah.
It's kind of a bad one. So, do you have any more thoughts before I continue with the plot? Just cut.
Nope. I think that pretty.
Well, we are now on Lex's yacht. He regales the tale of Prometheus giving fire to mortals, and that's what he aims to do. Quote, "That's great, Lex, but you're not a god," reminds Kitty Kowalski, the replacement for Ms. Tessmacher, played by Parker Posey. Lex admit he is not. Gods are selfish beings who fly around in red capes. Um, telling Kitty he just wants to bring fire to the people and he wants his cut. It's very important to note. Kitty also mentions that they're in the Arctic. Turns out Arctic. They're looking for Superman's very own Fortress of Solitude, which is I feel like funny that they had to look for it because
Yeah, because
Lex,
Lex
you've been
knows.
here
Yeah,
several times.
several.
Uh, and is this your house? You might think so, but it really is a monument of. Oh, sorry, no. Is this his house? You might think so, but it really is a monument of a long dead civilization. This is where he found who he was, where he would come for guidance. Lex triggers a message from Jor-El with Lex requesting "Tell me everything," starting with crystals. Which this was a scene that confused me as a kid because Jor-El talks to Lex as if he was a Superman,
Mm-hmm.
and then for some reason my brain was like, when Lex was like, "Oh, he's talking to me like he's my son. I'm his son."
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "Oh shit, is Lex Superman's brother?"
Oh.
Like just because I was a weird little kid.
I guess before we continue, I did mean to comment on the opening crawl and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked that they did that, and this is I didn't realize prior to us talking about this and watching these movies that this was a sequel to those older movies.
Mm-hmm.
That was this totally new knowledge to me.
Yeah.
So that made me pretty excited to watch it, and the opening crawl being
Yes.
as cool as it is, that was nice to see too with the theme.
Yes. So I thought it was really cool at first, but then I think the opening crawl is indicative of a lot of this movie's issues that we will get into. So now we are back on the farm. We are fully introduced to Brandon Routh as Clark Kent. As he awakes to the Kansas sunrise, he recollects himself as a young sorry, wow, what the fuck? He recollects himself as a young boy running and leaping through cornfields as he discovers his powers. Back in the present, Clark is a dick to his dog, launching a baseball impossibly far before informing Martha he visited Krypton. That place is a graveyard. Martha reassures, even if you are the last, you are not alone. And similar to Reeve before him, Brandon Routh was cast because of his resemblance to Reeve, as well as being a relatively unknown, and Routh actually being from the Midwest. Although I do think this is something that really comes. Yeah, I don't think. So Brandon Routh was selected because yeah, he was mostly an unknown, but also because he was from the Midwest, which I don't think comes through in his performance. Is what I was trying to say.
Yeah, not really.
Never once I'm like, oh, this is a guy from Kansas.
What part of the Midwest is he from?
He's from Iowa.
I was gonna say Iowa.
Iowa, because that's like I feel like Iowa and Ohio are the states where it's like technically it's in the Midwest,
Yeah.
but it's like enough east that you're like, eh.
Yeah.
So
What the heck?
Clark returns to Metropolis and the Daily Planet, being greeted solely by Jimmy Olsen with a shoddy-looking carrot cake. I think it was a carrot cake. Clark finds Lois's desk, discovering she has won the Pulitzer Prize that she had always dreamed of, but is hurt to find for an article why the world doesn't need Superman. Also, finding she is in a prolonged engagement and has a son, Jimmy offers to get a drink with Clark, who, while drinking, laments never imagining Lois getting married. Jimmy admits that he thinks she is still in love with you know who. My guess, Brad from Superman 3.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah. I wiped that guy out
Yeah,
of my memory.
I which I don't even think they ever shared a scene. It was just, I was trying to think of like who would be the. I should have said Ned Beatty. But anyways, to the primitive mind, any sufficiently advanced technology would be indistinguishable from magic. Lex and his new gang returns to the manor he inherited, reveals his plan to harness the crystals for energy to power cities. I don't know. I was kind of freaked out about the dog eating the dog, so I kind of lost track of the plot here.
Yeah, that really bothered me.
Yeah.
I really didn't like that at all. And that comes back later in a way.
Yeah.
And I didn't enjoy that.
Yeah, Parky Posey being like, "Were there two?"
Yeah, weren't there? That was a very uncomfortable scene.
It was. Lex and his buddy Cal Penn, otherwise known as Kumar from Harold and Kumar, are playing with trains, but they put a chip of the crystal he had pocketed in water, and this somehow shuts down all technology. Any?
Yeah, that I really. I guess I do want to say, I think Brandon Routh does look a lot like
Christopher Reeve.
Superman and Clark. And oh my god, I don't remember. Did the Daily Planet in the older movies have the big globe on it?
No, I didn't
That,
mention that, but yeah,
okay,
this is the
okay,
first one to have a globe on it,
okay,
so that's really
okay.
cool.
That was cool. Yeah, I like that. Um, what's the? I don't remember the actress's name that plays Lois. She does not look like Lois.
Kate Bosworth.
Hey,
Yeah. Energy to burn. Okay.
energy to burn.
For some reason, I read this at first as says energy to brain. I was like, I feel like if you're writing it like that, I don't believe you. Lex and his buddy Cal Penn, otherwise known as Kumar from Harold and Kumar, with no speaking lines, are playing with trains, and they put a chip of the crystal he had stolen from Fortress of Solitude in the water, and this somehow shuts down all technology, even on the shuttle slash plane that we've been seeing glimpses of from the news broadcast. Before shit hits the fan, we get the pleasure of meeting Kate Bosworth playing Lois Lane. For some reason, this is true, as a kid, or like looking back, I remembered it being Rachel McAdams
Oh,
from like Walk the Line.
yeah. Okay.
And I think she would have been a better choice. Once the power comes back on, Lex's train set begins to break apart. The splitting table, and even the basement. Cutting back to the shuttle, they decide to cancel the launch. It is discovered the boosters can't be stopped. The shuttle ignites while still attached to the plane, which can't be good. What the hell is that? As a bogey appears on the radar, as the plane gets closer and closer to space, Lois is thrown around the cabin, and wouldn't you know it, Superman returns. Do you get it?
I
You get it?
I understood that reference.
Freeing the shuttle, pushing it off into space as a mixture of the new music and the classic themes swell. Once the shuttle is taken care of, Superman turns back to the plane, accidentally tearing the wing off as he tries to correct its path. The plane, now in a nosedive, careens towards an active baseball game. Superman flies to the nose, slowing it down in just enough time to safely set it into the field. Ripping the door off, Superman checks to make sure everyone is okay, but especially making especially sure that Lois Lane is safe, which they make sure to show that everybody noticed. The scene ends with Routh breaking out the classic. I hope this hasn't turned you off of air travel. Statistically, it is still the safest way to travel. I guess, Wyatt, what did you think about the first modern Superman rescue scene? And also, what do you think about the suit?
So the scene itself, I really like. Mm-hmm. Actually, I think it's like I think the CG is pretty decent for it being what 06.
Yeah.
It's a fun scene. It's a little goofy that like they put this crystal in the water in a random basement and then it just shut off everything everywhere and no fail safes or backups were working or anything. But that aside, I think the scene is fun and the part when he is like, I hope this hasn't turned you off of air travel. That did a lot for me. I think maybe because I am so high in these old movies right now that I don't know. I just loved that a lot. Like I had an actual physical reaction. Like I think I clapped or something when that happened. Like I just did one of those like little one time clap things and got all excited about it. So that was cool. The suit itself, I don't hate it, but I don't love it either. You know, like it feels like a more updated version, but also like just kind of like a cosplay suit in a sense.
I think it is very close to being a perfect Superman suit.
Yeah.
I think the two things that are holding it back is so I think there's three things actually. The dimensions of everything, like because this was 2006. This was very much the era of like the swimsuit models, like kind of like top, what was the fucking Tyra Banks show? Next Top Model, and this was also the era of like Brad Pitt and Fight Club being like that's the body everybody wants.
Yeah.
So I feel like they like cut it, especially with like the trunks where everything was just like a little bit smaller than it should have been, to like give it that swimsuit model look.
I can see that. Yeah.
And I don't think it works. I think if like especially the symbol's like weirdly small.
It's small.
It's small. I think they should have probably just kept the Reeve suit with the texture of the newer suit.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what would have worked.
Yeah.
I think the suit, like the cape being leather, was weird.
Just kind of weird.
Like a weird, like burlap, rubbery. Like it just, yeah.
I do like the colors of the suit, though.
Yes.
I think it's nice and bright, and I mean, it all flows well together.
Yeah.
So that part's nice. Oh, the curl in his hair is on the wrong fucking side.
I didn't notice that. I'll be honest, I did not notice that.
I don't know. That just bothered me.
Bothering you? Okay, I get that.
That's not a huge thing. I just thought it was funny that it was on the wrong side.
No, I get that. But it's funny that you say like the the like air travel line is like what saved this for you or like what got you in on it.
Yeah.
Because I actually do think I have my notes here where ultimately I think the worst thing this movie does is being a sequel to the Donner movies. It really gives somebody like Brandon Routh the insurmountable task of emulating like the charm and magic of the first two movies. I would also say the same thing with like him and Kate Bosworth. I think I have notes of this later. Him and Kate Bosworth, I don't think I don't think they have really chemistry, but I also don't think they have the chemistry of Christopher Reeve and Margot Kidder, who just were dynamite together.
I definitely agree with that, and I don't think they have the same, like they as themselves don't have the same charm.
Yeah.
As either of those characters, like separately or together. So
yeah, and with that, like no matter what, I think these two, like Superman Returns and then the previous iteration, would have been compared, but to make it a continuation of the character, I do think unfairly adds to that comparison and makes it nearly impossible to stand on its own. Back at the Daily Planet, Perry White decrees everything needs to be about Superman, sports, weather, lifestyle, all of it. As the office springs to action, Lois pitches to Perry a story about the blackout that incited the event. Clark eavesdrops on the conversation when Lois's fiance enters the office, just as Clark was really getting it snooping on. Some snot-nosed rat that turns out to be Lois's son Jason gets in Clark's face. Turns out Cyclops died to be Perry White's nephew, Richard White.
That's who that was.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I could not.
James Marsden?
Okay, yeah. I knew he looked familiar, but...
Yeah, you're missing the shit across the face.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry.
And this is why he was killed off in X-Men 3, so he could film this. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, no!
Kevin Smith has the greatest quote about this. He was like, if you would have told me that X-Men 3, directed by Brett Ratner, or Superman Returns by Bryan Singer, which one's going to be the one I like more? He goes, I would have bet all my money on Superman Returns, and I was fucking wrong. It's saying a lot.
Yeah.
Clark and Lois run into each other after, I guess where am I? Oh yeah, Clark gets all mad before Lois is off to investigate the blackout. I guess he's just mad that he feels replaced.
Yeah.
And yeah, Clark and Lois run into each other after getting off in an elevator as he asks Lois if she wants to catch up. Lois cuts him off, asking how can someone leave for so long without saying goodbye. Clark, confused, asks who they're talking about. Lois brushes off the question before hailing a cab with the help from Clark. Suddenly, which I'll say this, in terms of the clever, Clark using his powers in front of her, I didn't like this one. I felt this one wasn't really that great.
Yeah, it wasn't that great.
And so that's actually, I guess, to talk a little bit, this is also kind of what I didn't like about the rescue scene either. Objectively, it was cool, but there was just no personality to it, discernible personality.
Yeah.
When he finally suits up for the first time in the first movie, it's the dun dun dun. There's a build up to it, and him figuring out what to do. Going into the door and coming out as Superman.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one, it was just kind of a weird soft fade as he's running through a crowd, undressing, which is also protect your. Come on, what's going on here, man?
What's the point in the identity protection if you're just gonna run through the middle of Metropolis?
This is the worst he does at that, by the way. He's pretty fast and loose in this movie.
He went so far as to get in the back of a cop car and change real fast. And then, in this one, he's just running.
Well, that's a bad one, because Superman 3, he literally, runs behind, a plate, a fence, a slate fence that you can see it paint. Superman 3, I would say he's as bad as in Superman 3 as he's in this one. But yeah, and then in this point, like in the first movie where it's like him, like catching the bullet and winking at the camera.
Yeah.
This is not that. There's no like clever like. It's just
Yeah.
like a. All right, that was weird that you did that, Clark. Cool. Um, yeah. So, anyways, back at the. Oh yeah. Suddenly, a melancholy score takes over as Superman flies through the city. Turns out to stalk Lois. Back at the Lane Perry household, Superman totally abuses his powers, spying on Lois and Scott Summers discussing Lois's article, the one that I spent the night with Superman, where Lois maintains that she was not in love with Superman. The creepy bastard himself races off to the stars with Jor-El's words in his head. Even though you will be among them, you are not one of them. And I didn't like this scene.
I didn't either.
I feel like Superman in this movie does a lot of like
Creepy shit.
creepy shit.
Yeah.
That's another thing. There's no moment in this movie you're like, oh fuck yeah, that's Superman.
Yeah.
Like even when he later in the movie when like, and I guess if we wanted to jump to like when he like pulls the boat out of the sea. Like I don't know, I just feel like it doesn't hit in this really cool way because like they don't really make this Superman really likable. I think.
No, I think they were just trying to like live off of the nostalgia and the hype of Christopher Reeve's version of Superman,
Yeah.
and like they just expected people to be excited that okay, here's Superman, and it's that Superman.
Yeah.
So they were just like, we're gonna use that.
But none of it actually feels like
Yeah,
that
it's like they didn't put in the work to give it its own breath.
yes,
You know,
personality. Yeah, absolutely.
personality. Yeah.
So we do in the first, what I would actually say is like the first really cool modern Superman movie scene is as he listens to the chaos of Metropolis from the like in kind of like space in the atmosphere.
Yeah.
He listens to the chaos of Metropolis. He focuses it until zeroing in on a bank robbery taking place. Turns out these bank robbers have seen Terminator 2 a few too many times, bringing out a Gatling gun to fire on the police. As the robber turns his fire to an unprotected security guard, the Man of Steel shows up to walk this motherfucker down, ending in the iconic shot of the robber shooting Superman in the eye and the bullet simply folding in on itself without a flinch. I thought that was a really fucking cool scene and moment.
This is probably my favorite scene in the movie.
Yeah.
To be on like action scene, I guess. Anyways.
Yeah. If you can call it that.
Yeah.
Sir, the museum closes in 10 minutes. We only need 5. Lex and the gang rob a museum that holds a sample of kryptonite as Superman is distracted with Kitty driving uncontrollably before being rescued and asking Superman to fly her to the nearest hospital. This is the closest I feel. Ralph gets to the Reeve charm, him kind of being flirtatious with Parker Posey, and I kind of think Parker Posey should, who plays Kitty, Parker Posey should have been Lois.
She looks more like Lois.
She looks more like Lois. They have way more chemistry in this one scene. But yeah, it turns out this was a distraction that worked because Lex gets away with the kryptonite scot-free. You also get the scene later that Kitty was like, "Hey, we were supposed to act like you cut the brakes. You didn't actually need to cut the fucking brakes."
Yeah. That was that was pretty funny.
But so, what do you think of all these moments or scenes?
So I do remember the scene on the rooftop with Superman getting shot and stuff. I remember that from being a kid.
That was in like trailers too.
Yeah. I had kind of forgotten about it, but that was one of those things that, like, you see it and it's like, oh shit, okay, I remember that. So that was cool to see again. The museum heist was kind of fun. That felt like the old Lex. And I guess a complaint about Lex that I have is he never once says that I'm the greatest criminal mind of our time.
Yeah.
Which I kept wanting him to say because that was one of Lex's like
Hallmarks.
that he would say in the older movies. So that was kind of sad that he didn't. The car, I was going to say chase scene. It's not a chase scene. The scene with in which the Mustang's brakes have been cut. That was pretty fun.
Yes.
And that fucking, I don't know how the kid got such a like good clear picture with a little tiny flip phone. But
Yeah.
that did make for a funny scene when later they're talking to Perry, and they're like, "This was taken by a kid with a flip phone," and then Jimmy was like, "Yeah, I got these," and then it was just like a blur in the sky, and
Yeah.
then they did the whole "it's a bird, it's a plane,"
Yeah.
and then Clark comes into Perry's office.
Yeah.
That was I liked that scene.
Yeah.
That was funny. Um, but let me see. I had another point I was going to make and I just forgot about it. Yeah, I don't remember what I was going to say. So
Fair enough. Well, moving on
it
then.
must not have been very important.
Yeah. Well, and if I'm barreling through things, feel free to just cut in.
Okay.
Okay. So the next day, the news is abuzz with Superman's exploits throughout the world. Perry demands more coverage, giving Clark Lois' story about the blackout and instructing Lois to work on a Superman story. During a late night working session, when Lois goes out for a smoke, we finally get the reunion of Lois and Superman, meeting once more on a rooftop like they did all those years before. Superman explains why he left for so long, searching for Krypton, questions Lois on why she wrote her article before taking flight with her again. You wrote the world doesn't need a savior, but every day I hear people looking up for one. That is a banger line.
That was a good line. Yep.
The next day, Lois hands in the article. Superman returns. Despite Perry's jubilee, she remains fixated on the blackout, even when they are getting ready to receive her. When she's getting ready to receive her Pulitzer Prize. So this is the scene where, especially, I was like, I feel like they kind of make Superman do a lot of like unlikable shit
Yeah.
because it's not like fucking James. I don't remember his character's name. Like James Marsden, Cyclops.
Oh,
like
Richard, I think.
yeah, Richard. That's it. He doesn't do anything unlikable. He's kind of a really good guy.
He is a really good dude.
And like Superman is just outright like trying to fucking
knows his way in
yeah.
there. Yeah.
And it's just such a like there's no like and they do this fight scene and the idea is like oh it's they're rekindling their romance but it's like but hold on
Yeah.
what about this whole other thing she's like literally she goes back into her fiance
Yeah.
so yeah I think they make Superman do a lot of unlikable things in this one
I agree. They kind of took away from the good-natured Boy Scoutness
Yeah.
of the older Superman.
Yeah.
He's just a weird.
yeah and like you know and great and like Superman would do some like flirty stuff be like you know
Yeah.
but like I don't know I don't like and then also I want to say like in that scene of like them late night like working together like they do get they try to do the moment of like Clark turning into Superman when like she like drops her papers and he like looks at her and like tries to do like the raising up. But the problem is Brandon Ralph isn't 6'5" like Christopher Reeve was, and so like it just didn't have the same effect. And it to me it was such a like showing of like yeah I'm sorry this is not you know
Not the
the
same.
OG.
Yeah.
But anyway moving on unless you have anything else to add to what I'm saying.
I just kind of wanted to, and I know we've kind of harped on it a little bit, but I just kind of wanted to reiterate like how different the Superman feels, and unnecessarily so. Like I guess like the first thing I noticed was he threw that ball for his dog, and I'm just going way back, but he threw that ball for his dog way too fucking far. And
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like a Clark Superman thing to do, like to throw it to where the dog just cannot find it.
Yeah.
That just feels kind of like a shitty thing to do.
Yeah.
And there's little moments of him just feeling off, and it does kind of pull you out of the movie throughout, and just like the spying and the eavesdropping. And the eavesdropping, I guess, is one thing, but then to spy on somebody's home in their private life,
yeah.
pretty weird.
He kind of icky.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I think they did a good job at like, excuse me, hello, like just showing that like Richard's a good dude,
Yeah.
and it felt like just kind of like some, oh my god,
Yeah.
some. I don't know. Like it was an interesting story point, but like also kind of why
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know because you want to see Superman and Lois, and I guess I think it's kind of that's another thing I was gonna say. It's the fact that Superman just left and didn't come talk to Lois. I don't buy that.
Yeah.
as this Superman because he's always been such like a just straight and narrow good dude, Boy Scout, just like a good person and upfront. And for him just to leave and not say shit to anybody for 5 years, that doesn't
It
seem
does,
like this
yeah.
Superman. So I understand why Lois is upset. She
Yeah.
should be upset, but that just felt like an unnecessary addition of drama to add, I guess.
Yeah.
It kind of took away from a character development that's already been done.
Yeah. Well, and yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that we can. But
Sorry, that
but
was kind of all over the
no,
place.
I appreciate it. But and then you get the scene. Are we trespassing? Jason asks as his mom Lois puts him in incredible danger,
Yeah.
sneaking onto Lex's yacht. Lex continues his earthquake-based real estate scheme obsession, detailing his plan to create a new landmass that will overtake the United States. You get some pretty entertaining posturing from Lex, revealing to Lois that his collection of kryptonite in the case that Superman does try to stop his plans, before noticing that Jason fixates on the glowing green cylinder. While all this is happening, Clark and Richard, it's Cyclops, work together to track down Lois, successfully guessing that her password is simply Superman. And it reminds me that scenes like this are exactly why I have to put a symbol and a number in every password that I ever have now. And Superman returns to the Fortress of Solitude to find all the crystals have been stolen, flying away in a fit of anger. But nothing really comes of the fit of anger.
Yeah,
Like,
not really.
It really, and like that sucks because I felt like the moment, like, oh, Superman's fucking here now.
Yeah.
Oh, like
and then he just wasn't.
he just was, back to investigating with Cyclops.
Yeah.
Um,
I liked I liked the scene of him being a reporter and
Yeah.
doing things and trying to make this connection with not on purpose make this connection with Richard, but them getting some screen time together.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool, and those were fun scenes. But Lois is in danger, and he's just gonna rifle through some papers and try to track down shit that way.
Well, I think
Like-
they don't know that she's in danger. Like,
I guess that's
what
fair.
kind of in danger
That's true.
she's in.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. It just seemed like if it was somebody else, it would make sense. But it's Lois,
yeah.
and he's, I don't know. You'd think he would just kind of go.
Oh, I see what
guess.
you mean. Yeah.
Like he
yeah.
would be able to find her really quick. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. I guess I was thinking about like both of them together. Like, I get what you mean.
I get you. Yeah.
So with that, we are back at Lex's yacht. We are the evil henchman with the clown tattoo. Catches Lois faxing to the Daily Planet and starts to attack Lois. But it turns out that baby ain't no mutant. That's a Kryptonian. Lex kind of called it. It's time for us to go, as Lex says, which I fucking love that moment of
Yeah.
like, oh, we gotta get the fuck out of here. The coordinates finally reach the Daily Bugle. Cyclops springs to act. Oh, I did it. I did it in my notes too. Anyway,
That's funny.
the Gotham Gazette, Cyclops springs to action, taking the seaplane. Clark takes the Seabird. No, it's Superman. That one's good. That was a good one. Good job. Good job, Willow. um, Also, I want to point out, like, did you not catch that baby ain't no mutant, it's a Kryptonian?
Yeah.
'Cause
That was pretty good.
that one was good too.
They dropped Gotham in this movie too.
They did, yeah, in the like the news.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was pretty cool.
Yeah. It was really cool. I was hoping they would have done more.
Or was it?
I was listening for like a central city, but they're I forget what they were like, in Gotham, Paris. It's like,
Yeah,
oh,
it was-
well, okay.
I guess I did want to. Before we get too far away from it,
Latveria.
do what?
That would be cool if they said Latveria and just
Stop.
created a lot of legal issues.
That would have been really cool. I did like the scene on Lex's yacht when okay, for one, Lois is reckless and crazy, and like that she'll do crazy shit. I don't see Lois taking her son
taking a son, yeah.
into such a crazy situation. Maybe go check it out, but then like if it's that weird, maybe we leave with the small child.
Which, granted, she was trying to, and like that's where like
Yeah, but that was pretty funny when like Lex pops out of the corner like just unexpectedly. He's like, Lois.
yeah.
That was good. I enjoyed the whole scene. I don't know. I was weirdly engaged with the whole spiel of Lex talking to Lois when
Mhm.
when they're at the hall or whatever, and then he does pick up on the fact
Yeah,
that her son is very fixated on the kryptonite.
yeah,
I don't know why that was. I had that one. That scene had me. I don't know. I guess the most engaged throughout the. Oh my god! What am I
yeah,
trying to say? That scene for me was the most engaging of the movie. I think.
yeah.
Uh,
Everything else, this movie has like a sleepy feel to
it
me,
does. It does. And
except for this scene.
I think that was because I had completely and utterly forgotten that was a thing with this movie. I
Yeah,
hadn't seen it since I was a little tiny kid, so it hadn't been spoiled for me.
yeah.
So yeah, that was interesting. But so I'm done with my rambling for
No,
a
no,
second.
no. So at this point, Lex plants himself a new little island with a crystal and a kryptonite cylinder, causing a power outage and an earthquake that splits Metropolis, causing all around pandemonium as Superman flies throughout the city, rescuing folks, including stopping the Daily Planet globe from dropping on top of Perry White. This was a really cool shot of him like seeing, like hearing and seeing it happen, and like
Hmm.
flying through several buildings.
That was cool.
So this was a pretty cool scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, for dropping on top of Perry White, and then yeah, I was saying shout out to they finally have a globe for the planet, Daily
Yeah.
Planet.
Yeah.
Back on the ship, Richard finally finds Lois and Jason in time for the yacht to split in half from Lex's ever-growing island. The cabin fills as they try to figure out what to do, and just before it finally submerges, Superman shows up just in the nick of time, pulling the ship out of the water and sending the Summers family to safety before confronting Lex in his very own Fortress of Solitude. Turns out, this ain't no regular Fortress of Solitude. This whole thing is kryptonite. Lex and the boys start to beat up on old soups like Wyatt and our friends would have been Godzilla's son Minya if we ever found him in the back in the day. Before shivving his ass, proving that Lex was really in the shit for 5 years, throwing his ass in the ocean. Uh, Luckily, Lois convinced us it was a good idea to circle back for Superman in hopes to save him, again with her son still in tow. Admittedly, this whole sequence is pretty damn good, even Richard trying to take off again with an unconscious Superman on the planet, navigating through the previously mentioned Fortress of Lexitude.
Laxitude. Okay, so this scene I remember as a kid.
Yeah.
I remember it making me really fucking uncomfortable. Like when Superman's getting his ass beat.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I
yeah.
mean,
It's a dude getting jumps.
it is, but it's also Superman, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I remember the feeling that I had in the movie theater as a little kid, and it just was a very uncomfortable, like unsettled feeling in my stomach.
Yeah.
And it kind of came back when I was watching it this time.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's. I did like all the stuff with the plane, and I like the dynamic of Richard and Superman and Lois, and it was cool how they saved each other.
Yeah. I At one point I kind of wish Richard was like, "Hey, what the fuck is going on,
Yeah,
guys?"
I mean, he should have been more like, what, what's what's going on here?
Yeah.
Because he was just a little bit. He was a little too like, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I get what you mean. So finally, Superman does awaken as Lois has removed the kryptonite shiv, or the crypto shiv, as I called it. Superman exits the plane as Lois protests a little too much, if you ask Richard. We got a really good scene of Superman flying above the clouds to soak in the sun before returning to the Fortress of Luthertude, is what I put it this time. Lex and the gang are chilling inside as Parker Posey questions if billions of people are really going to die. When they notice the island cracking and lifting beneath them as Superman lifts the shit out of this rock until he's able to push it into the depths of space away from Earth. Superman, in a celebration of victory, hits. Superman, in a celebration of victory, hits the floating T-pose and crashes down to the Earth, kind of like the start of this movie, huh?
What the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
God damn.
What did you think of the big old kryptonite rock the sequence and shit?
It was okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just kind of okay. It wasn't very anticlimactic, and it also felt kind of strange that like he didn't suffer anymore. I don't know. He didn't suffer
And
more from this, from pushing it away.
so the only thing that I can think of that, and I'm doing like some work on behalf of the writers here, is because he was in space, was able to soak the sun up as he was falling.
That
It's
could
the
be.
only thing, and I don't even know if that, but it's also Superman. This is comic books. Everything's stupid. It's fine. You
I
know?
mean, all of that is true. So I'm gonna not comment anymore on that. Uh, but yeah, no, it felt kind of anticlimactic, and it also, I mean, I don't know. I didn't really. I kind of felt indifferent about it. I guess I didn't.
Mhm.
It wasn't like a big like triumphant. Oh shit! Here we go, Superman moment. It was just kind of like, okay,
Yeah, I think I even remember as a kid being like, I should like this moment more. Like, this should be
yeah,
more of a hype moment.
yeah.
Or I had to hold back a cough there. But yeah. Anyways, they are now at a hospital trying to operate on Superman. Turns out you can't, as the planet prepares a Superman is dead headline, the Daily Planet that is, not the whole Earth, but probably the whole Earth too, but it doesn't matter. Isn't it the rival newspaper in Spider Man, the Daily Globe, by the way?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Anyway, the Daily Planet prepares a Superman is dead headline. By the way, Richard's got an Audi, and she's still choosing Superman. Lois visits a comatose Superman in the hospital. They lay it on thick that this is Superman's son, with Jason talking about hoping he lives because he likes Superman before going over to his suit in the chair. Lewis,
Lewis.
Lois presumably whispers in his ear, "You're not alone," before planting one on him, a kiss that is. So does Jason, if that matters. I'm sure our boy Scotty Summers is super stoked about all of this. Turns out this is all Superman needed, as the next time we see him, the old lug is in his son's bedroom.
Kind of
The
creepy.
fuck?
Kind of creepy.
Probably doing the mental math on the child support back payments he's got coming his way. Clark Kent gotta be working 3 jobs after all this. Clark does assure his sleeping son, although it will be a tough path. It won't be one he has to walk alone before ditching his ass after remembering those child support payments. Will we see you around? I'm always around, says the deadbeat dad, going to get get another gallon of Kryptonian milk for another 5 years. And the movie ends with Ralph flying into the horizon like Reeve before him.
Yep.
Yeah,
Just like that.
just like that, and kind of, I guess, wrapping it up. Overall, I don't outright hate this movie. I definitely don't like it. I thought the third act was the best part, which I think is ironic because historically in the previous movies, the third act is the weakest part.
Yeah.
The action was entertaining and at times thrilling, even particularly the Richard. It's crazy to me that the best fucking action sequence, by the way, I'm getting mad about this
Richard.
now, is Richard flying a plane through the fortress. It's not Superman doing some sick shit.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's because like that's the drawback to the Reeves movies is like because of the technology, the best action scene is still just dudes flailing around on strings and like
Yeah.
the what the best action scene was probably the Metropolis fight
Yeah.
between Zod and Superman and
Yeah.
like it was really slow moving
It
and
was. Yeah.
Superman got took out by like a cigarette truck.
Something. Yeah. It was
But
weird.
yeah, and that's what really said. It was like this is supposed to be like the first modern Superman movie,
Yeah.
and I just don't feel like they took full advantage of that. Kevin Smith described this as like the fucking art house cinema Superman. Uh, and I totally get that. I think that's the best way to describe this. Of like, you know, and but no, yeah. Well, my final notes here is never does this movie feel compelling to me. The relationship between Lois, Clark, and Superman feels awkward, and other elements just don't feel explored in a meaningful manner. Particularly like the idea of Jason being his son.
Mm-hmm.
It really never feels like. Yeah, it's introduced so late that it like there's really nothing that can come of it. It
Yeah.
doesn't really like I don't know. It just doesn't like it how do I say this? Like, it just never feels like there's like proper growth in any characters. There's never like
Yeah.
meaningful moments. Is I guess so. Um,
I mean, they introduced those cool ideas, but they never let them blossom into anything. They're
yeah.
just kind of like, well, maybe, because like he doesn't help her, he doesn't help Lois open the door or anything. Like he just is kind of like, um,
Which let's hope cool concepts being fully explored is not an issue we have to deal with. And again,
yeah.
in the next movie that we're covering, Zack Snyder's Man of Steel. With that, I do.
Oh
Oh
God.
my
Oh
lord.
my God.
We're good. We're still good. We're still good.
Okay.
But
I guess I just have
yeah, jump in here.
a couple small wrap up thoughts while you're seeing what the cat fucked up. Um, yeah, I think this movie like I don't hate it either, but I definitely don't love it, and I probably won't watch it at least not for a long time if I do again.
Yeah.
Um, it's pretty boring. It feels very flat, and it doesn't feel like it feels like it wants to have the heart that the older movies does.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. It feels like if a group of people were to write a fanfic story and put it on, like, make it into their own, like,
Hmm.
maybe film for, like, film school or whatever and put it on YouTube. They just,
Yeah.
and they just had, like, cosplay suits with people that kind of look like the old people, but also don't at the same time.
Yeah.
And I feel like Brandon Routh did a good job in a few scenes with some certain lines and capturing that old essence of Clark or Superman, but it just didn't carry it enough. Didn't carry enough of the weight of this movie for me to be like, I don't know. I just didn't love it, you know. And there is no like oh shit Superman moment in this, which we've said several times.
Yeah.
I think the moment that got me the most excited for Superman or pumped up, I guess. And this seems silly, but like just the point in which he is in space and is listening to everybody and flies to
Yeah.
the I think that's the bank scene.
Yeah.
But he hits like he breaks the sound barrier and you
Yeah.
see that flash and hear it. That was cool as fuck.
That was sick. Yeah.
And that's one of my favorite things about stuff in the next movie is being able to see that,
Yes.
like how fast he is and shit.
Yeah.
So
So
that was kind of like my oh shit moment for this movie, and to say that that's not a very big moment,
no.
you know,
No.
so, which is kind of where this movie stands. It's just
Yeah.
kind of flat.
Yeah. So with that, to kind of wrap this up, I do my last one here is like, although there was a planned sequel that never came to fruition for one reason or another, which I think the quote I saw that it was going to be the Wrath of Khan to Star Trek the Motion Picture, which I don't know if you know, Wyatt. Star Trek the Motion Picture, very boring movie, like because it was like the first time they had a big budget to do like build this like grandiose like crazy star ah wow U.S. Enterprise. I don't know what's going on. The USS Enterprise, like you know, and like so it's just really like an hour and a half of like glory shots of that.
Oh God,
Whereas like Wrath of Khan, I don't know if you've ever seen it.
I have not.
That's a movie that I think is so good. If you like, I think if you show anybody like that's dope. Like that's a fucking movie.
Okay.
And I guess that's like what the next one of this was supposed to be was like
Wow.
oh you know this is the modern Superman, but like obviously didn't come to
happen.
fruition.
Yeah.
And with that, Ralph did get to reprise the role of Superman in the Crisis on Infinite on Infinite Earth special.
In the Arrowverse stuff.
Yeah, in the Arrowverse, which is crazy because you know who else he plays in Arrowverse?
He plays somebody, but I don't know.
Yeah,
who.
he plays Roy Palmer.
Oh. Okay.
Roy or Ray, I forget. But he plays the Atom, the guy in the
That's
blue and
right,
red suit.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And he does a really good job. And in the Crisis on Infinite Earths, he wears the Kingdom Come suit. Do you know what I'm talking about?
He does, really.
Yeah, and it looks cool as shit.
That's
It looks
awesome,
really
actually.
fucking cool.
So is it supposed to be a different Superman or the same?
So it's
Superman?
I think it's supposed to be the same one, which
Okay.
is kind of cool in a way because it's like, oh, that means like that's technically the Christopher Reeve Superman
Yeah.
in the Arrowverse, but
Okay.
like I don't fully know.
Fair enough.
But yeah, he looks really cool in it. And do you have any last thoughts about Superman Returns?
Not really. No.
No.
Kind of.
If anything, I'm looking forward to not thinking about Superman Returns.
Kinda.
With that, next on the docket, we do have Man of Steel. We're trying to figure out if we're going to film that. So Man of Steel may come out after the James Gunn Superman movie review. We'll see. Just keep a lookout for more Superman shit, and keep a lookout for Fantastic Four shit as we start doing those too. With that, I've been Corey.
And I've been Wyatt.
You've been Wyatt.
Still
but
Wyatt.
no longer. Until then, we got to get back to nerding out about Superman. His illegitimate son.
Yeah, that he may or may not claim. I don't know.
Not on his taxes, though.